Hello, welcome to Sculpt with Sid. My name is Sydney. I'm a yoga, Pilates, and bar instructor. This class is going to be a hip stretches class. It is structured like a yoga flow, but every single pose and flow will focus on opening up through the hips, relieving any tension if you are sore from a workout, or if you're just tight from sitting a lot. This is a really good class for you. We'll get started down on our backs, and you don't need any props. So just lie on down. Come flat on your back, bring your heels up towards the ceiling. This is called legs up the wall, and you're literally just gonna let your legs hang out for a second. Arms down beside your body, take a few breaths here. Release any effort from the legs, so knees nice and soft, ankles nice and soft. Take an inhale, exhale. One more like that, get really heavy in the hips. Inhale, and exhale. Good, hug your knees in towards your chest. Hands can come to shins. Draw some circles with your knees in one direction and then in the other. Thinking about massaging your back into the mat. Good, find stillness. Make sure you've done an even amount on both sides. And then right knee stays in, left leg reaches long, find wind relieving. Really think about extending your left leg flat on the floor so you stretch the front of your left hip flexor and then connect right thigh and belly as much as you can. A little bit of compression there. Take a breath. Good, just switch. It's the same thing right away. Energize through your straight right leg so that the hip gets a little opener, and then hug your left knee in nice and tight. If this feels bad on your back, bending your bottom leg will help. Take a breath. One more. Good, hug your knees back into your chest, rock up and down. We're gonna meet in a tabletop, so you can just come onto hands and knees and do a few cat-cows here. So start in a neutral spine. On an inhale, you arch your back, lift your gaze, think about pulling your chest forward. Exhale, round your spine, tuck your chin, drop the weight of your head. Two more like that. Really try to exaggerate the movement in your spine here. If you ever have any back tension from sitting a lot throughout your day, this is a really good one to just do super quick. Relieve any of that tension. Find stillness in a neutral spine on your next breath. Start to brace through your core, so keep it really strong. Try not to let the ribs open up again. And we're gonna send the left leg back, knee stays bent. It just comes to about hip height, and then draw your knee out to the side towards your elbow, and then sweep it straight back. We'll do a few like that. Just kind of lubricating the hip joint. And then let's switch directions. Your knee comes towards elbow first, out to the side, and then back. One more. And then bring it back down. Let's switch. Right leg lifts up. Same thing, it comes to the side, knee comes to elbow, and then you swim it back. Keep going in that one direction about 3 times. Again, trying to keep your trunk and everything else really still. And then just switch. Knee comes in towards elbow, draw it to the side, and then back. Twice more like that. Beautiful. Once you're done that, bring both knees down, tuck your toes, lift your hips, find a downward facing dog. To start, let's pedal out the heel. So bend one knee and then the other, pressing the other heel down into the mat. Good, and then find stillness. We're gonna lift both heels up. So really first think about sending your tailbone up and back. On an inhale, come high on both toes, more weight shifts into your hands. On your exhale, drop your heels. This should feel pretty nice for the back of your legs. Inhale, lift, exhale, lower. Inhale, lift, exhale, lower. One more. Inhale, lift, come high on your toes, look forward. Take as many little steps as you need to get to a forward fold at the top of your mat. Inhale, find a halfway lift, hands come to shins. Exhale, fold all the way. Good, drop your head. We're gonna ragdoll our way up to stand. Head comes up last. Once you get there, hands come to hips. Right knee lifts to about hip height. Just do one big circle. And then step your foot all the way back. Find a nice high lunge. So take up lots of space on your mat. Arms come to the ceiling. Right here, you should already feel a stretch for the front of your right hip. Maybe you take a back bend to deepen that. Inhale there. Exhale, come on up. Left arm's gonna drop, find a side bend. Right arm reaches over to the left. Come on back up. Good. We're gonna stand tall, straighten the front leg, drop your back heel. So you're in a triangle stance. Arms open wide. Send your left fingertips forward, right hip comes back, and then left arm down, right hand high. All right, so your stance is a little bit shorter here. You're stretching out behind the left leg. Take one breath. Start to look down, frame your front foot, step it back into your downward facing dog. And then same thing, high on the toes, look forward. Find as many steps until you're in a forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Slowly round up to stand. Hands to hips, left knee does one circle standing. Good, bring your knee back out in front of you and then take a big step back, find your high lunge. Arms sweep up, melt into your front knee. Think stretch for your left hip. Good, if you want a little back bend, gaze lifts, and then come back up. Right hand down, find your side bend, big stretch for left side body. Come back up. Good to start to straighten your front leg, scoot your back foot in until your heel can come down. Arms open wide, triangle, reach your right fingers forward and then down, left hand high. Really think about sending your bum back so you get a nice stretch for your right hamstring, that's what it's called, and your right inner thigh. Take a few breaths here. And then look down, step your back foot forward so we're back in that forward fold, and then let's hold opposite elbows. Get a nice big stretch for the back side of your legs. If it feels good, you can sway side to side here. Really trying to release the weight of your head. We hold it up all day and it builds a lot of tension. Releasing the head, maybe you feel a release through your whole back. Take one more breath here. All right, inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant your hands, step both feet back all the way to the back of your mat. We're gonna lower onto our stomachs. You can move through a chaturanga or however you wanna get to your belly. Once you're there, come up onto your forearms. We're gonna reach the right arm back, find your right foot, and give yourself a nice quad stretch. All right, I love doing this on my belly instead of standing because you can think about tucking your pelvis under and really getting a deeper stretch in your quad. One breath here, and then just switch. Find your left foot. Really think about pushing your hip down. What tends to happen is our hip wants to lift up off the mat. Can you try to press your hip flexor down? You'll get a much deeper stretch. Good, release that leg back to the right side. Let's bring our forehead down first. So stack your palms, bring your forehead down onto them. You're gonna bend your right knee and then see if you can lift the leg up, bring it out to the side. You're gonna come into a half frog. So your leg is bent to about a 90 degrees. It is out to the side. And then if that feels okay for your hip, I want you to come back up onto your elbows in Sphinx, and you should feel a deeper stretch. But if this starts to bring negative tension to your low back, don't do it. If this doesn't feel like enough, reach your hands wider and start to straighten your elbows. You can lift up a little higher. Just be really mindful if you do not have open hips. This will not feel very good. Take a breath here. And then gently come all the way down. Bring your right leg back. Send your left leg out. So bend the left knee, lift the knee up, draw it out to the side. You might have to wiggle a few times until it feels good. And then same thing, notice if your bum really wants to pop up, can you think about pressing your hips down? If your bum is really lifted off the ground, do not leave your forehead. If you feel good here though, you can come up onto your elbows, or again, you can come up onto your hands. If your floor is really hard and your knee joint is bugging you, put like a towel or something under your knee and it'll feel a lot better. And then wherever you are, just take a few deep breaths. Good. And then release. Get rid of that leg. Let's send our hips back, find a child's pose. Knees can come wide, toes together, and then just let your hips melt onto your heels. Drop your forehead down, take a big breath in, and a big breath out. All right, roll yourself up onto your shins. You can close your knees in, step your right foot forward. We're gonna find a little tail tuck before we fully come into your low lunge. So while everything is stacked up here, bring your hands to your hips. Think about your thumbs pushing down to tuck your pelvis under, almost like you're doing like an Elvis hip thrust. Once you've got that hip thrust, you can gently bring the hips forward and you should feel a deeper stretch in that hip. Maybe you stay here because this feels great and maybe you haven't felt this before. If you do prefer a low lunge, just try to keep this tucking sensation in your spine, and then you can start to lower your hips down, down, down until it feels good. Arms can come up. If you want little back bend again, take a breath in. Exhale, hands come down, find a half splits, hips come back. Lengthen over your right leg, but do not lock your right knee. All right, you wanna keep a little bend always, and then send your chest forward, stick your bum back. If you feel good here, hands come to the outside of your right ankle, find a little twist, take a breath. Good, square off, and then just come back to shins. Come all the way up, left foot forward, find that little tuck. So everything is stacked. We're not pushing the hips forward just yet. Find that little tuck, thumbs down as your pelvis tucks forward. Really, really stretch through the front of the right hip flexor. You can slowly start to gently press your hips forward, keeping your bum squeezing. Yes,
stay here if this feels magical for your hips. Sometimes it honestly really does. If you want to keep coming forward, just try to keep that long low back, and then maybe your arms come high. Maybe you take a back bend. One big breath in and out wherever you are. And then bring your hands down, hips back. Good. Take a breath here. Again, if this feels okay for your hamstring, you can bring your hands over to the left side of your foot, getting a little bit of a side body stretch on the right side. Maybe you feel some sensations coming up the outside of your left leg. Take a breath here. Amazing. All right, unwind. We're gonna come back up to a forward fold. So just step the back foot forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Plant your hands, right foot stays where it is, left foot steps back. Find your high lunge again. We're just gonna stay here for a breath. And then exhale, hands come down. Drop your back heel, find a pyramid. So straighten both legs, inhale, half lift, exhale, fold.
So really similar to what we just did with your low lunge and your half splits. We just have that back knee lifted this time. Pause here for one more breath. And then step the left foot forward, switch sides, right foot steps back. Find your lunge on your left side, inhale, lift up. Exhale, find your pyramid, hands down, back foot comes in until you can lower the heel. Inhale, halfway lift, and then exhale, fold. Take a few breaths here. Good, again, you can bend your front knee as much as you need. Awesome, step your back foot forward. One more thing here, left foot steps really far, and then we're gonna bend into the right knee, turn to face the wide edge of your mat. So this is called your surfer's lunge or skandasana. Your hips are gonna come as low as possible while keeping your right heel down. So maybe you're like up here, that is totally fine, but try to turn the toes out, and then your knees and toes face the same direction. If you're comfy here, hands come to heart, or you can reach right fingertips to the floor, left hand to the ceiling. Take a breath. Good, hands down, walk yourself to the other side so that your left leg can bend, your right leg straightens. Maybe your left heel can come down on this side, hands can come to heart, or you can open up. But chances are one side feels different, so just adjust as you need. Take a big breath. Good, come back through center. Walk yourself back to the top of your mat, find your forward fold, and then step both feet back, find your down dog. Awesome, pedal out your feet. Maybe the backs of the legs feel a little more open now. On an inhale, you're gonna lift the right leg up, three-legged dog, open the hip. On an exhale, find your pigeon pose, knee to the outside of your wrist. Wiggle your left foot further back. And then let's take a breath upright. Bring your hands beside you. Can you think about squaring off your hips, sitting up really tall? And then you can fold forward. We're here for 3 breaths, so really try to use each breath to melt into the floor. The pigeon is a tricky one. It can be really uncomfortable for a lot of us for our knees and our ankles. So figure 4 is a really awesome place to be. You can come here, seated or on your back. Good. One more breath in. On your breath out, slowly come up. Plant your palms. We'll come back to your downward facing. And then left leg lifts up, three-legged, bend your knee, take a breath in. Exhale, find your pigeon pose, knee to the outside of your wrist. Get nice and tall. You'll probably have to wiggle your back leg back. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Take your time. Find that position that's comfortable. If you do have a yoga block or another prop that you can put under your head, that's a really nice way to keep your spine super long. And again, adjust as you need to come into a better option for your joints. And take those slow breaths. Amazing. One more inhale. To come out of this one, we are just gonna sit down, swing your legs out in front of you. So on your exhale, bring yourself up, sit onto your left bum cheek, swing your legs out in front of you, give them a little wiggle. Good, arms reach up. Exhale, fold forward. Bend the knees a lot so that you're nice and soft here. This is passive. You can drop the weight of your head, take an inhale. On an exhale, slowly roll up. Awesome. Bend your knees, pop your bum up. We're gonna roll up through a standing forward fold. So see how different this feels when we have gravity working against us in a different way. So take an inhale here. Exhale, ragdoll your way up to stand. Head comes up last. Give me a little noodle arm twist at the top. Get rid of any last bits of tension. Hopefully your hips are feeling a little more open.
a little more free. Thank you so much for choosing to do class with me today. Please let me know in the comments how you liked it and if you want any other types of stretches. And of course, subscribe so I can keep doing classes like this. Thanks.